Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of GodSaw's Turnbuckle, the wrestling podcast here on YouTube. And we're now trying to figure out where we're going audio-wise after the whole thing that went down with SoundCloud. But we're not here to talk about that now. We're not here to talk about that. We'll figure that out at a later point in time, if not continuing on over there. What I wanted to talk about today, since this is actually Monday, August 14th, is what's going on with, as people know, probably are seeing me go over here to bring something up, which is for GFW's Destination X. And what are they going to do about it? Because the news that came out today was that they are stripping Alberto El Patron from their world title, the GFW world title and the Impact Wrestling world title, the unified titles, which they're going to probably bring out the actual titles on Destination X this week, when he was going to go up against Low Key and his and continuing on his storyline with Alberto El Patron and LAX. Now, they are also saying that Alberto is going to be still indefinitely suspended, and they do not know when he's going to be coming back in any way, shape, or form, which means that they are going to be doing tapings this week as well, leading themselves, I think, all the way to Bound for Glory in November. So they're going to probably film through October and everything. So that means Alberto El Patron is probably not going to be a part of that in any way, shape, or form. And we probably won't end up seeing him until November, if we see him in GFW at all anymore, to go along with everything. So that leads to go off of what are they going to do with Destination X now. You have a match that was already being advertised as because I guess they were assuming that his suspension was they were going to lift his suspension and everything in that sense before Destination X. So reasons for his suspension to begin with were, one, everything that had been going on in his news, in the news and everything that had been going on with him and Paige, in the sense of like the reported domestic incident inside of the airport that they had, and a few other variant things to go along with it. So the suspension had come along, saying it's like they're gonna wait until everything had been cleared up, in everything in that sense, to see where they're gonna go. But for now, they're gonna suspend Alberto El Patron. Obviously, they also had his. Everything had been taped and everything in that sense. So they probably were leading to believe that they were going to lift the suspension beforehand, but they, I guess for one reason or another, and here's the reason why it does get a little bit weird, because in that incident, he had actually been completely cleared in every way of being charged for anything or anything in that sense. So it led you to believe that they were going to need to probably just lift the suspension when time came to pass. But apparently, it's not just that had been going on. It had been a few other incidents of him blowing up, and a few other things that he had been going in backstage, other things that had not been reported yet, in that sense of it, that had led to this him being stripped of that world title and staying indefinitely suspended from Global Force Wrestling. It's still weird to say that in that sense. So it had been apparently a few other things other than that particular incident that was causing this to lead to it. It was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back, apparently, to go along with it. So this leads to go, where are they going to go for Destination X? They have Low Key, who is supposed to be going after the world title. And you would assume that they're going to make some kind of announcement. Matter of fact, I think they said Bruce Pritchard is going to make some kind of announcement at Destination X, what's going to go on with the world title. You would assume it would be Low Key versus somebody at the show itself. And it is just a normal episode of Impact Wrestling, but this one's done live, and they're calling it Destination X to go along with everything in that sense of it, which for the longest time has always been like a showcase for the X Division, which, looking at the card that they have here, it is actually a showcase for the X Division in a certain sense of it. The card that they have outside of this, we'll go with one. You have the Unified Women's title, as I'm looking at this, looking at over here on the screen for the actual card. You have the Unified Women's title with Sienna going up against Gail Kim. That's not really X Division. But the rest of the matches do involve over X Division over X Division stuff in some way, shape, or form. You have a match for a shot of your choosing, and I think they're going to say it's just a Global Force Wrestling title shot in some way. And I think they had made it where it's like one person could pick the winner of this match could pick whatever title they wanted to go for. In some way, shape, or form, and you have that being Lashley going up against Matt Sydal. They've actually had a pretty good build-up with this one. And the interviews that they did on Thursday, I thought were pretty good stuff to go along with everything. You also have the X Division title, before we talk about the X Division title, you have the Super X Cup going on with Desmond Xavier going up against Taiji Ishimori from Pro Wrestling Noah to go along with it. So again, more X Division side. I was a little bit worried that they weren't going to be showcasing a lot of X Division stuff, and then I look at the cards like, yeah, they actually kind of are. In that sense, even like if they were to have gone with Alberto El Patron and Low Key was deemed as part of the X Division in that sense, so it was kind of him getting a showcase outside of it, going for something else, but being considered one of those guys. So where are they going to go with this? The best option I see for them in this particular one is to take that winner of the Lashley Matt Sydal match. That night they pick to go for the world title, whomever wins, either Lashley or Matt Sydal, and they go up against Low Key that night to determine the new world champion. I mean, they could have somebody else already in mind to come in and go after the world title, so that that person doesn't have to pull double duty or something in that sense. But I feel like that would be the best way of going in that sense of everything. And it will be interesting to see who they have come out on top on this one. The way they've been building this up, it was going to be one of those things for LAX to go over huge in this one. I mean, they had the tag team titles, and it seemed like they may get the like it would have been, if they were going to go on this whole thing for them, it would have been best for them to go after and have the world title go on them and kind of make them even bigger threat. So it'll be interesting to see how they go about doing everything here in that sense of it, in every way, shape, or form. There's been rumor going around that they have people potential for people coming in who either are working with AAA or and everything in AAA or some of the other ones to face maybe Low Key or do something with the world title. They're gonna announce it. I think their best bet is to take the winner of the Matt Sydal Lashley match, put him up against Low Key that night, and then like you could kick off the show with that match. It should be a good match, good way of kicking off the show, and just like let things flow with everything in that sense. So I think it'll be an interesting way of going. It, to a certain degree, I'm not gonna lie, it kind of sucks that Alberto El Patron is going to be off the show, but it seems as if it's not just that incident that has was actually put in the news with him and Paige at the airport. It seems to not be the actual reason why he is still in his suspension and everything in that sense. Is for other potential backstage issues, because like I said, Alberto El Patron has been cleared of all those incidences with Paige at the airport of like domestic violence, everything in that sense, to go along with it. So he's cleared on that. So a lot of people were kind of weirded out initially, but then it came out that they said there was a few other issues that had been going on. Apparently it had blown up on some people backstage and everything in that sense, and this was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back on everything to go along with it. So with that being said, everyone, we'll see what they decide to do at Destination X this week. That will be airing Thursday. It'll be interesting to see where they decide to take everything and where they're going to have everything go. And hopefully it ends up being a good show and they come up with something good for that one. Again, it does suck that Alberto's going to be out, but hey, if his transgressions in the terms of backstage are the reasons why that this is going on, and it's not just one incident that we had heard about and has seen in the news and know that he's been cleared of, then GFW at that point is kind of in the right. But we don't know the full story on that one to go along with it. We need to, we don't have every portion of this story. We just know that Alberto El Patron's not going to have the Global Force Wrestling title match on Destination X, and they're going to be doing something else with it to go along with everything at that particular show. So with that being said, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed Destination X this week in terms of the Impact Wrestling show, and I will try to have a review out sometime this week before SummerSlam and everything in that sense goes down. And I hope you have a great rest of your week. Have a good one.